Hello everyone. Today I Abhinav.
I Siddharth Ray.
I Rudransh.
Hi, Puruzi.
And I, Akshat, are going to present our analysis of the South China Sea conflict. Introduction.
South China Sea is a large water body, roughly the size of India. It lies between Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. It is connected with Taiwan Strait with East China Sea and Luzon Strait with Philippine Sea. It is the arm of Western Pacific Ocean in the Southeast Asia. It is surrounded by many countries, namely Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines, China, and Taiwan. It is strategically important for almost all the countries in this region, as 2.2 billion people are dependent on this region for international maritime trade. The trade route going through this region, worth around 3 trillion US dollar, and carry one third of the global shipments around the globe. It is also rich in naturally occurring commercials such as vast marine life and black gold reserves.
Overview of the standoff.
Considering its strategic importance, all countries claim that an area of sea till 200 nautical miles from their coast is legal under the UN EEZ Exclusive Economic Zone regulation. But there is one exception to this, that the Chinese government, referring to 1947 map, refuses to accept EEZ and pushes for the acknowledgement of 9-line, which is its own version of territorial area map of sea. 9-line covers almost 90% of sea, including two major islands known as Paracel Island and Spratly Island, which is Chinese claim are under their jurisdiction, as the island were discovered by Yuan dynasty. All this has led to the widespread criticisms and confrontation between the nations in the region.
In depth analysis of the present situation. Unlike today, until the early 70s, South China Sea was just another silent disputed region with barely any international attention. But from late 70s, some nations like Vietnam and Philippines started to settle people and hoist flags on the coral reefs and small islands. This period even saw a rise of naval activity in the region. China only came in the fray of settling people on the reefs and islands in the year 1987. From then, the level of the conflict in the region has been steadily rising. And with Xi Jinping coming to the power in 2013, China's assertion of its claim has been bolder than ever before, as all the decisions are taken in a more centralized manner. China even uses cabbage strategy to gain control over islands controlled by other nations. China has been building many artificial islands on the sunken reefs of the region. It has even built many airstrips and set up rocket launchers too. In total, China has built an estimated 3,200 acres of artificial islands. The dredging process involved in building these artificial islands has significant environmental consequence too. The Chinese Navy has been giving warning to all the planes which fly in the region, while being extremely rude with their Filipino counterparts. The Chinese armed forces are frequently seen near the coast of the other nations, who claim parts of the sea. Some of them are key allies of the United States. Thus, the already heated power tussle between the US and China is now more intense than it was ever before. US has been conducting regular visits of its Navy and Air Force in the region, which has led to widespread movement of the Chinese Navy in the sea. Even after the change of administration, Washington has continued to assert pressure on Beijing to move back, which shows that the issue has become a part of the American foreign policy, irrespective of the political change, which in turn suggests that the issue is going to be one of the trending international relation topics in the coming years. South China Sea standoff from the perspective of China.
Economic reasons. China is an emerging superpower and thus needs a continuously growing economy to keep its developmental pace at par with its present growth. Therefore, it is taking such a strong position in the case of South China Sea, which is full of commercial resources and has major maritime routes passing through it. Strategic reasons. Although these islands are very far away from China, they are very crucial for it to have dominance over the region. Taiwan. which refuses China's sovereignty over itself, can be cut off from the foreign support if China has control over the sea. Therefore, it can be said South China Sea has a very important position in China's dominance policy, which can be understood by China's refusal to accept International Court of Justice's 2016 order, which said that the Chinese claim over the South China Sea was not acceptable at all and asked China to withdraw its military missions from the sea.
South China Sea standoff from the perspective of Southeast Asian nations.
China's expansionist nature has been a point of concern in the Southeast Asian countries, and with the ongoing South China Sea struggle, it has become clear that all the concerned parties should come together and take joint decisions on their future policies. To counter Chinese presence, countries like Vietnam and Philippines too are even building new islands.
South China Sea standoff from the perspective of India.
India has supported the demand for peace in the region. The Indian islands of Andaman and Nicobar are connected to South China Sea through Strait of Malacca. Most of the shipments pass to the Southeast Asia via this route only. This gives India a strategic position in the Indo-Pacific region. In recent times, China has been sending its vessels frequently in the Indian Ocean, which is alarming and has made India focus more on the security of this region.
South China Sea standoff from the perspective of the world.
Across the world, China's expansionist views has been criticized. USA has been sending its Navy, Air Force missions in the region, which it says is for the sake of ensuring the freedom of navigation in the region. With the present circumstances, it is very unlikely that China would withdraw from its position on the matter, and it is very likely that the situation would only worsen in the coming days. To maintain peace and stability in the region, all countries should join hands for demanding negotiation between the concerned parties because in today's globalized world, it is non-viable to expect trade growth with conflicts going on in the commercial hub.
We remain most grateful for the rapt attention with which you viewed this presentation. We hope you liked our work and have learned something from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.